Hey, what's up everyone? I haven't made one of these videos in a long time, but I got a couple questions when I made my event photography video that just came out the other week. Check that out down below. It's one of my last videos that I published. And it came down to a couple people saying they're beginners in the industry, what gear should they do, all that kind of stuff. I addressed a lot of that in the actual video, but it made me just think of something fun, something I used to do, and kind of do a list video, hensing the title. But I thought it'd be interesting to see what you guys and girls have bought yourselves when you first started out that was probably not a good purchase, or you kind of regretted that you learned later on you shouldn't have done. So that's what I want to do. I got 5 items here, or 5 things that I bought that personally myself bought as a beginner photographer that I don't recommend and probably want to save someone out there from making the same mistakes or decisions. But let's kick this off list with I think probably one of the big ones in my opinion. And number 1 for me, and this is one I've harped on for a while and I will always continue to harp on, and that is buying a cheap plastic POS tripod. Don't waste your money on them. Yeah, they might be $20, $25, but for $40 and maybe even just $50, you could get a very solid aluminum one. So I never ever recommend buying the plastic crud out there. You go through them. They're not exactly durable. If you're just starting out, that's one piece of advice I'd say, and that's one piece of equipment that I think is very important, especially when you're going to school and developing your education and your learning. You will be using a tripod a lot, especially when you're learning shutter speeds and in different various techniques. Don't buy the plastic tripods, in my opinion. Buy something just a little bit more, because once you buy it right once, you are done. That is a saying that I've learned multiple times and has stuck to me throughout my career, and that is one thing I will say. Buy it right once and you're done. Get yourself a very, very good aluminum tripod, and that can last you years, if not longer. Someone might make the argument for carbon fiber, but if you're just starting out, you don't want to spend that money. Get a very, very good, highly rated aluminum tripod. Enough with the plastic stuff. Number 2, expensive gear. Pretty much lenses, I'll say. When I was just starting out, and this is one thing I've always wanted to take upon myself when making any videos and sharing those, be it gear reviews or etc. Not to drive down or shove down, you must buy this lens no matter what you are. You must blah, 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 blah. No. The one big thing that was kind of just like really put pressure upon was that you need a 70-200 2.8 lens or you're a joke or you'll never make it. You need that for the event or for the wedding or something like that. And the one big mistake I did back in the day was buying a Nikon 70-200 2.8. Now, mind you, it keeps its value per se, but I didn't need it. I put it on a credit card. I had a hard time paying it off when I was just first starting, and even just first starting credit back in the day. You don't need expensive gear starting out. No, if someone tells you that, walk away. Don't listen to them. You don't need expensive gear starting out. A kit lens with a 70-300, even if it's a variable 5.6 to whatever, will get you a long way just starting out. Now, mind you, investing good money into glass and lenses, etc., as you grow your career is a phenomenal thing, and I do highly recommend it. When you're just starting out, even for the first 2 years or so, you don't need to break the bank to get a lens. One big mistake I made, and I wish I didn't do it back in the day. It kind of hurt my credit for a while, because I just felt like I wasn't going to be good enough unless I had expensive gear. You don't need it right away, trust me. Now, this one isn't necessarily the most expensive one, but I think it's because you'll just rack these up because they're pretty affordable, they're cheap, you're available anywhere. Cheap filters. You'll just get thrown UV filters, which you don't need. You can use them for protection, but UV filters are effectively useless for digital photography. Once again, you can use those for protection, but then you're putting something in front of your lens, degrading quality, etc. But filters, gimmicky filters, bokeh filters that change the way the bokeh looks behind you, or star filters. You get star effects with the lights and stuff like that. If you want to have fun with them, go for it. But if you get enough bad ones, you're just building them up and they're useless. There's no resale value on them. So if you want to look at filters, hey, once again, when you're just starting out, I don't really think you need them whatsoever. But if you're going to look into them, get something good. Do a ton of research into the different filters and the brands, the companies, the types that you want, the millimeter, the filter size that fits on your camera, etc. Because they aren't universal, for the most part and everything. Stop buying cheap, cruddy filters. They're just kind of a waste of money, in my opinion. There are key filters that you will need throughout your career, all depending on what path that you take. But Last two here might kind of shock you because they're not necessarily items or gear specifically, but number 4, I will say the beginner's workshop. I have made this point in this video, verbatim, and kind of, we've done this before. Be careful about workshops. Be careful about who's teaching them and the intent behind them, and the cost. You might get into photography and it's just like, oh my God, take this for $500 and you're gonna learn everything. You'll know how to shoot manual, and you probably won't. And some of them might not have replay value. You might go to a certain place. But let me tell you, instead of buying some of the stuff online, and there are some good places, there are some, that I might recommend. There are a lot of free education out there on YouTube as well. There are a lot of free education at your local, hopefully you have one, camera shop, local shop, technology center, something, even a Best Buy or whatever kind of store have educational courses for free sometimes. Tap into those resources before you feel you need to spend $500, $1,000 on a workshop. But the one thing that I got first started out was someone local. I didn't necessarily know. My teacher when I first started college was atrocious. He sucked. I won't say his name, but he was terrible. He shouldn't have been an educator. But that teacher had recommended that we go to basically his buddy's course. It was like a $250 thing. Once again, I'm new, but I'm trying to figure out, is this where I want to be? How do I want to learn this stuff? And I didn't know the difference between a fisheye and a way our eye sees, like a Nikon 50mm. It was atrocious. Be very, very careful. Something I did, and it's something I hope that you avoid. There's a lot of good, impactful, free, or very affordable education out there. You don't need to go to some overinflated price just because Joe Schmo Photography, no offense to Joe, whoever he is doing that. Once again, Joe Schmo Photography is not anyone or anything specific. It's a generic thing. It was just, Joe Schmo, Smith, etc. Don't do it. And last but not least, and I say this to this day, even if you're an advanced photographer, stop buying other people's presets. Their look. You don't want to emulate them. You want to be your own style. You don't want to be a copycat of someone. I have friends that sell presets and stuff like that, and etc. But stop buying presets. Make your own presets once you learn your style, your grading, however you want things to look, and maybe you always have a certain setting that you always really like. Make your own presets. Stop buying them. I mean, if they're affordable, I guess, but a lot of them are severely overpriced and they don't actually help you out because you can't just slap on a filter on every photo that you take, and it is going to vary different by situation, by lighting, by type of photography, etc. Stop buying presets, in my opinion. I wasted money on a bunch of them, and to this day, I don't use them. I've never carried them over, and I've deleted a lot of them because they were never my style, and they were a waste of money. Stop buying presets. So that's all I got here. I just want to make a quick, fun little video. Just talking about some of the things that I regretted buying as a beginner photographer. And I want to hear your thoughts down in the description below on what are some of the stuff that you bought when you just first started going out that you were just like, man, this was a complete waste. Let me know down in the comments below. It'll be kind of fun to see what you guys and girls think. And once again, just be careful what you're doing out there, especially if you're just starting out. It is not a cheap industry or field. Be very, very careful. But have fun.